Hello, this is Sharon Day, co-chairman of the Republican National Committee. 91 years ago, the 19th Amendment was ratified to the United States Constitution, which guaranteed women a precious right that was hard-earned and long overdue, the right to vote. Despite Abigail Adams' plea to the Founding Fathers in 1776 to remember the ladies, women were not only forgotten, but largely ignored for more than a century. Thanks to the tireless and courageous efforts of women pioneers of the 19th and early 20th centuries, such as Susan B. Anthony, Alice Paul, Lucy Stone, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Carrie Chapman Catt, and so many others, we have the 19th Amendment to celebrate today. Each has their own story. Many were criticized, ostracized, or the victims of physical abuse for their views. The quotes you are about to hear represents the essence of their passion. I hope you enjoy hearing from the legends of the women's suffrage movement, read by our previous co-chairs and women colleagues of the Republican National Committee.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal.
I never doubted that equal rights was the right direction. Most reforms, most problems are complicated, but to me, there is nothing complicated about ordinary equality. Alice Paul.
There never will be complete equality until women themselves help to make laws and elect lawmakers. Susan B. Anthony.
When a just cause reaches its flood tide, as ours has done in that country, whatever stands in the way must fall before its overwhelming power. Carrie Chapman Catt.
Suffrage is the common right of citizenship. Women have the right of suffrage. Logically, it cannot be escaped. Victoria Woodhull.
Because man and woman are the complement of one another, we need women's thought in national affairs to make a safe and stable government. Elizabeth Cady Stanton.
We claim in no uncertain voice that the time has come when women should have the one efficient tool with which to make for themselves decent and safe working conditions. The ballot. Mary Ware Dennett.
There will never be a new world order until women are a part of it. Alice Paul.
We're half the people, we should be half the Congress.
Let women then go on, not asking as favor, but claiming as right, the removal of all the hindrances to her elevation in the scale of being. Let her receive encouragement for the proper cultivation of her powers, so that she may enter profitably into the active business of life. Lucretia Mott.
We the people of the United States. Which we the people? The women were not included. Lucy Stone.
National events determine our ideals as much as our ideals determine national events.
There will never be complete equality until women themselves help to make laws and elect lawmakers.
We women of America tell you that America is not a democracy. 20 million women are denied the right to vote. Alice Paul.
The pioneer women who were then settling the West had no intention of being overlooked. Women in the territory of Wyoming won the vote in 1869, followed shortly by women in the neighboring territories of Utah, Colorado, and Idaho. When Wyoming applied for statehood in 1890, a furious bloc of senators opposed its admission because it allowed women to vote. But Wyoming citizens refused to give in. Their legislature cabled back to Washington. We will remain out of the Union 100 years rather than come without our women.
When women's true history shall have been written, her part in the upbuilding of the nation will astound the world. Abigail Scott Duniway.
As a woman has to pay taxes to maintain government, she has a right to participate in the formation and administration of it. Ernestine Rose.
The grandest thing has been the lifting up of the gates and the opening of the doors to the women of America, giving liberty to 27 million women, thus opening to them a new and larger life and higher ideal. Olympia Brown.
Brothers, when you were weak and I was strong, I toiled for you. Now you are strong, and I ask your aid. I ask the ballot for myself and my sex. As I stood by you, I pray you stand by me and mine. Clara Barth.
Mr. President, Abraham Lincoln immortalized himself by the emancipation of 4 million slaves. Immortalize yourself by bringing about the complete emancipation of 36 million women. Elizabeth Cady Stanton.
We fully believed so soon as we saw that women's suffrage was right, everyone would soon see the same thing, and that in a year or two at furthest it would be granted. It took more than a year or two, but finally in 1920, Tennessee ratified the 19th Amendment. It occurred because of the change of a vote by a 24-year-old legislator, Harry Byrne, at the insistence of his elderly mother. Even though anti-suffrage legislators fled the state to avoid a vote, Tennessee stood firm and reaffirmed its crucial vote as the 36th state to ratify the 19th Amendment.
Men, their rights and nothing more. Women, their rights and nothing less. Susan B. Anthony.
With these powerful women leading the way, all that remained was for the men in Washington, D.C. to do what was right. When the Republicans took over the House in 1915, they passed a women's suffrage bill only to have it twice defeated by the Democrat-controlled Senate. President Woodrow Wilson was an original opponent of the effort, but after protest and marches in Washington, he finally came around. The Democrats finally accepted the inevitable, and the Senate approved the bill in 1919. Tennessee made it official, becoming the 36th state to ratify the amendment in August 1920. When the Secretary of State certified the amendment on August 26, 1920, women could finally make their voices heard at the polls. Fittingly, the first elected women member of Congress was a Republican, Jeannette Rankin of Montana. Her election and those who shortly followed paved the way for the landscape we take for granted today. Women mayors, women legislators, governors, congresswomen, and senators. The Republican National Committee is pleased to take the opportunity of the 91st anniversary of women's suffrage to follow Abigail Adams' advice. Remember the ladies. Thank you, and God bless America.